It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce to you the chief sponsor of this bill in the House. As I said before, Anna Moeller has been fighting this fight every single day, and I'm not exaggerating. And she has been a real leader. She has not been in the General Assembly as long as some others, but she has been a true leader and a champion for women's rights. Ladies and gentlemen, Representative Anna Moeller.
Thank you so much for joining us on this glorious day in this beautiful place. Thank you to the members of the media, all of my colleagues who are here today, Representative Sonia Harper, who just joined us, advocates and supporters of equal pay. This moment is quite literally 3 years in the making, and it illustrates yet again how important compassionate, inclusive, and effective leadership can change lives and improve our state. It also shows us the importance of persistence and how continuing to work at a problem is incredibly important. I came to sponsor this bill in 2017 as a result of the election in 2016, the national election, when I realized that women's rights were going to be under attack in our country, and that as a state, we had a responsibility to protect women in Illinois and finally tackle the systemic causes for economic inequality. And so that was the primary driver for why I introduced this bill back in 2017, to protect women in Illinois and finally close the wage gap that, as has been referenced, so persistent in our country and in our state of Illinois. As has been mentioned, women still today, even with all of the gains that we've made in other areas, still earn on average 20% less than their male counterparts. And shamefully, women of color make even less. The disparities are even wider. This inequity not only affects women during their careers, it affects their families. It affects their communities. Half of all households are led by a working mother. When her income is depressed, that translates to lower wages for her children and for her families. It also translates into higher percentages of elderly women who are living in poverty and have lost over hundreds of thousands of dollars over their lifetime in lower wages. We know that there are systemic practices and cultural norms that contribute to the gender wage gap. According to a study by the Harvard Business Review, women are less likely to negotiate or ask for higher wages during the hiring process, and when they do, they're often penalized because of bias and gender stereotypes. That results in women making, on average, 6% less than their male counterparts in their first job. That starting lower wage will follow a woman throughout her career. And as women are more likely to stay home and raise a family and take time off from their jobs, when they re-enter the workforce 5 or 10 years later, that old salary is often used to determine her new salary. This bill ends that. It ends the pernicious practice of using prior wages to determine future pay that may have been depressed from the minute a woman started working. This bill also strengthens the state's existing Equal Pay Act by increasing penalties for employers who pay less because of gender and prohibits employers from making it difficult for employees to discover discriminatory pay practices within their organization. And while this legislation is targeted at closing the gender wage gap, provisions in the bill stand to benefit all workers, including men. As Governor Pritzker mentioned, it has been predicted that parity between men and women will not be achieved until the year 2059. That is unacceptable. We cannot allow another generation of women to suffer from the inequities that our grandmothers, mothers, and current generations have endured. It gives me great joy that my daughters, Madeline, who is 16 and just started her first paying job, and Eleanor, who's 13, and my niece Bella are here to join us today to see this bill be signed. I want them to inherit a world that's more just and more fair. And I want all of our daughters, especially daughters of color, to inherit a fairer society. The policy measures that are being signed today are a step in that direction. But certainly they are not the end. We need to do more to eliminate the barriers that keep women from reaching their full economic potential and economic independence. We need meaningful paid family leave for all full-time workers, predictable scheduling, and affordable, high-quality childcare that is accessible to all families. In closing, I want to also give my sincere thanks to Wendy Pollack from the Shriver Poverty Law Center, Melissa Josephs from Women Employed, and Senator Christina Castro. I would not have been able to pass this bill without them. Their doggedness and persistence is what really made the difference in getting this bill over the finish line 3 years in a row. I also want to thank all of my colleagues. Yes, 3 years. All of my colleagues who are here today and those who couldn't make it. This was a true bipartisan supported bill. So the fact that it had been vetoed so many times was very befuddling to all of us. Finally, I want to thank Governor Pritzker. We've seen this summer so many incredible bills that advance the rights and protections of people in our state signed, and it would not have happened without his leadership. With him signing this bill, he is once again showing that he is fully behind women, he's fully behind workers in this state, and he's fully behind working with all of us to ensure justice and fairness. Thank you all.